I need to tell someone what I did, and you're going to think I'm terrible, but there's something about what happened with Marcus that nobody understands. Everyone thinks he's the heartbroken good guy, and I'm the shallow girlfriend who destroyed our relationship over a cheap anniversary gift. They're half right. But the truth is so much worse than that, and it's been eating me alive for 6 months. The worst part about what happened isn't that I called his gift cheap. It's what I did after he left, and why I really rejected it in the first place. If I don't tell this story, you'll never understand why I wake up at 3 in the morning scrolling through his social media, watching him live the life I could have had. But once you know what I know, you'll see why I made the choice I did. Or at least, why I thought I had to. I'm going to tell you everything, including what I found in his jacket pocket 2 weeks before our anniversary. And the part that makes me look worst. I'm saving that for the end because you need to understand who I was before all of this happened. My name is Veronica, and I've always been the kind of person who measures love in tangible ways. I know how that sounds. Materialistic, shallow, gold digger. I've heard it all in the comments sections, trust me. But it's not about the money itself. It's about effort, thought, proving that someone was thinking about you when you weren't in the room. Marcus and I met 3 years ago at a marketing conference in Denver. I was 26, working my way up at a boutique PR firm. He was 29, a software developer for a startup that was about to explode, according to him. He had this way of talking about his work that made circuit boards sound like poetry. I fell hard and I fell fast. Our first year was magic. He'd leave little notes in my purse when I wasn't looking. He'd remember that I mentioned wanting to try that new Thai place 3 weeks ago and just show up with reservations. For my birthday, he planned an entire weekend trip to Napa, complete with a hot air balloon ride because I'd mentioned once that I'd never been in one. That's what love looked like to me. Attention, memory, care made visible. So when our first anniversary came around, I spent weeks planning. I got him a custom leather portfolio for his work meetings, with his initials embossed on the front. Inside, I'd tucked a handwritten letter about all the ways he'd changed my life, and tickets to see his favorite band, The National, when they came through town in the fall. I spent over $600, but it wasn't about the money. It was about showing him I paid attention to who he was. He gave me a drugstore candle and a card, not even a nice candle. A $7 vanilla-scented thing that still had the price sticker on the bottom. The card was one of those generic ones that just said Happy Anniversary with cartoon hearts. He'd signed it Love, Marcus, and nothing else. I remember staring at these items on my coffee table, waiting for the real gift, waiting for him to laugh and say, just kidding, and pull out something else. But he just stood there, smiling nervously, asking if I liked vanilla. Is this a joke? I asked. His smile faded. What do you mean, Marcus? This is a gas station candle. I got it at CVS, actually. I remembered you saying you liked candles, so you stopped at CVS on your way here, for our 1-year anniversary. I watched his face change as he realized I was serious. Veronica, it's just a gift. I thought the gesture was what mattered. That's when I said it, the thing I can never take back. This isn't a gesture, Marcus, this is cheap. This is you putting in literally zero effort and expecting me to be grateful. What I haven't told anyone, what I've never admitted out loud, is that I wasn't just angry about the candle. I was furious about what it represented. Because 2 weeks before our anniversary, I'd found something in his jacket pocket while looking for gum. A receipt from Tiffany & Co. for $1,500, dated 3 days before I found it. I didn't say anything at the time. I thought it was for me, obviously, an anniversary gift, maybe an engagement ring, my brain whispered. We'd been talking about moving in together. His lease was up in 2 months, it made sense. So when he showed up with a CVS candle, I didn't just feel disappointed. I felt betrayed, confused, humiliated. Where was the Tiffany's gift? Who was it for if not me? But I couldn't ask without admitting I'd gone through his pocket. So instead, I let all that confusion and hurt turn into anger about the candle. You know what? Marcus said, picking up the candle and the card. If you're going to be like this, I'll just take them back. Good, I said. Get your $7 refunded. He looked at me like I'd slapped him. I don't care about the $7, Veronica. I care that you're measuring my feelings for you in price tags. And I care that you think I'm worth less effort than stopping at a real store and thinking for more than 5 seconds about what I might actually want. You know what your problem is, he said, heading toward the door. You're so obsessed with the performance of love that you can't see the real thing when it's right in front of you. Then he left, and I haven't seen him since. That was 6 months ago. 6 months of silence. He blocked me on everything immediately. Instagram, Facebook, his number went straight to a message saying I'd been blocked. I tried emailing once, 3 weeks after it happened, but it bounced back. He'd blocked me there too or changed his email. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, I started seeing the mutual friends choose sides. His side, always his side. Our friend Rachel posted on Facebook about how some people only value what love costs, not what it means. She didn't tag me, but I knew. Everyone knew. The comments were full of people agreeing, talking about materialistic culture and how relationships aren't about money. What they didn't know was that I was still thinking about that Tiffany's receipt every single day. Lying awake at night, playing detective in my own mind. Who was it for? His mother, maybe a birthday gift, but I'd met his mother. She wasn't a Tiffany's woman. She shopped at Kohl's and bragged about her coupons. A new girlfriend? Had he been cheating? But that didn't make sense either. Marcus wasn't like that. He was boringly faithful. The kind of guy who still felt guilty about a girl he'd kissed at summer camp when he was 12 because he'd technically been talking to another girl at the time. The possibilities spiraled through my head until I couldn't think straight. I threw myself into work, took on extra clients, said yes to every project. My boss noticed and promoted me to senior account manager. Everyone online thought I was thriving. My Instagram was all professional wins and brunches with friends. Living my best life. I captioned a photo of myself at a rooftop bar, champagne in hand, but privately I was unraveling. I'd drive past his apartment complex on my way home from work, even though it added 20 minutes to my commute. I'd check his LinkedIn obsessively to see if he'd changed jobs, changed cities, changed anything. His profile stayed the same, still at the same startup, still in the same city. Still living a life that was running parallel to mine but never intersecting. 3 months after the breakup, I went on a date. Tyler, a consultant I'd met through work. Nice enough, good job. He picked me up, took me to an expensive steakhouse, ordered a bottle of wine that cost more than my weekly grocery budget. By every measure I claim to value, it should have been perfect. Instead, I spent the entire dinner comparing him to Marcus. Tyler talked about his car. Marcus used to talk about the podcasts he'd listened to on his commute. Tyler ordered for me without asking. Marcus always made sure I got to choose first. Tyler split the bill exactly down the middle, Venmo request sent before we even left the restaurant. Marcus used to joke that his money and my money were our money, anyway, so why keep score? I went home and cried for 2 hours. That's when I started realizing something uncomfortable about myself. I didn't actually care about expensive gifts. I cared about what I thought they represented. Security, commitment, proof that I mattered. But Marcus had shown me I mattered in 1,000 other ways, and I'd been so focused on the one way he didn't that I'd missed everything else. Just when I thought I'd hit rock bottom with this realization, I ran into his best friend Daniel at a coffee shop. Daniel saw me first. I watched him debate whether to ignore me, but he was too nice for that. Dover gave me an awkward half-wave. Hey Veronica. Hi Daniel. Silence, the kind that screams everything you're not saying. How is he? I finally asked. Daniel's jaw tightened. You don't get to ask that. I know, I'm sorry, do you know what you did to him? Daniel interrupted. He was devastated. He thought you of all people would understand. Understand what? Daniel looked at me like I was stupid. About his mom. My stomach dropped. What about his mom? Nothing. Forget it, I shouldn't have said anything. But he had said something, and now I needed to know. Daniel, please, what about his mom? He studied me for a long moment. His mom got diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer in January. He's been helping pay for her treatment. That's where all his money's been going, every extra cent. The coffee shop tilted. I grabbed the back of a chair. He didn't tell you? Daniel asked, and I could hear the judgment in his voice. No, we never. Yeah, well, he was trying to keep it together, trying not to burden you with it, and then you called him cheap for not spending money he didn't have on an expensive anniversary gift. I thought I was going to be sick. The candle was all he could afford that week. He just sent another payment to the hospital, but he still wanted to do something for your anniversary because he loved you. Daniel left after that. I stayed frozen in that coffee shop for 40 minutes, Daniel's words playing on loop in my head. But here's the thing. Here's the part that makes me irredeemable. I still couldn't get the Tiffany's receipt out of my mind. If Marcus was broke, if he was funneling every dollar to his mother's medical bills, where did $1,500 for Tiffany's come from? I know how this sounds. His mother had cancer, he was struggling. And I was still fixated on a receipt like some kind of obsessed detective. But it didn't make sense, and the not knowing was making me crazy. I did something I'm not proud of. I created a fake Instagram account. Generic name, a few stock photos, followed a bunch of random people to make it look real. Then I followed Marcus. He didn't accept the request for 2 weeks. But eventually he did. And that's when I saw her. Her name was Emma. She appeared in his photos starting about 4 months after our breakup. Blonde, pretty, a kindergarten teacher according to her bio. In the photos she was wearing a necklace. A delicate silver thing with a small diamond pendant. I recognized it immediately. I'd seen that exact necklace in the Tiffany's window when I'd walked past the store, back when I thought Marcus might be shopping there for me. It was their return to Tiffany line. I'd even pulled it up on my phone that day, looked at the price. $1,500. There it was, the answer to my 6-month-old question. The Tiffany's receipt wasn't for his mother or a cousin or anyone else. It was for his next girlfriend. He'd bought it before we even broke up. I felt vindicated and destroyed all at once. He had been planning to leave me, or at least he'd been preparing to, shopping for the next woman while still with me. My anger about the candle had been justified after all, just not for the reasons I'd thought. I wanted to scream. I wanted to send him a message that said I knew it. I wanted to show Daniel and Rachel and everyone else who'd made me feel like a materialistic monster that I'd been right to be suspicious. But I couldn't, because I'd found this information through a fake account. Because admitting I'd been stalking him for months would make me look worse, not better. Because even if he had bought jewelry for someone else, that didn't change the fact that his mother had cancer and I'd kicked him when he was down. I spiraled harder after that. Started therapy, finally. Dr. Chen asked me in our first session why I was there. I ruined my relationship and I don't know how to live with what I did, I told her. Over the next several weeks, we unpacked everything. My parents' divorce when I was 8. How my dad had left my mom for a woman he'd been seeing on the side for months. How the other woman had a bigger house, nicer car, better job. How my mother had internalized that as he left because I wasn't successful enough, pretty enough, worth enough. How I'd internalized it too. How I'd grown up believing that love was something you earned through being impressive enough, expensive enough, worth the investment. What if Marcus bought that necklace as a backup plan? Dr. Chen asked me. If he sensed your relationship was struggling and he was already emotionally checking out? Then I was right to be angry, I said. Maybe. Or maybe you were both right. Maybe he was pulling away because he felt judged for not being able to spend money on you while dealing with a family crisis. And maybe you felt the distance and interpreted it as him not caring, which made you fixate even more on material proof of his affection. That's a very diplomatic way of saying we were both screwing up. Most relationships end because two people are stuck in incompatible pain cycles, she said. You needed visible proof of love to feel secure. He needed acceptance without performance to feel valued. Neither of you were wrong. You were just wrong for each other in that moment. But that didn't feel true, because I kept thinking about the year before the breakup, when things were good, when we were right for each other, what had changed. In one session, about 4 months into therapy, I finally admitted something I'd been avoiding. I think I picked a fight about the candle because I wanted him to chase me, I told Dr. Chen. I wanted him to fight for us, to prove that I was worth fighting for. And when he didn't, when he just left, it confirmed every fear I've ever had, that I'm not worth the effort, that when things get hard people leave. Dr. Chen nodded. So you rejected the candle before you gave him the chance to reject you. I cried so hard that session I had to reschedule my afternoon meeting. Just when I thought therapy was helping me make peace with everything, I saw Marcus in person for the first time in 8 months. I was at a bookstore downtown, browsing the self-help section because of course I was. I looked up and there he was, 3 shelves over, holding a book about grief. He looked different, thinner, tired. His hair was longer than he used to keep it. He hadn't seen me yet. I should have left. Instead, I walked over. Marcus. He turned and the look on his face was something between shock and pain. Veronica. Hi, I'm sorry, I saw you and I wanted to say hi, he nodded slowly. Hi, silence. The bookstore felt too quiet, like everyone around us had stopped breathing. How are you? I asked, which was possibly the stupidest question in the world. I'm okay, you. Okay, I ran into Daniel a while back. He told me about your mom. I'm so sorry, Marcus, I wish I'd known. His expression hardened. Would it have mattered? Of course it would have mattered. Really, because from where I'm standing, you made it pretty clear that what I could afford to give you wasn't good enough. Knowing why I couldn't afford more wouldn't have changed that. That's not fair. I didn't know what you were dealing with, you never told me. I shouldn't have had to tell you I was struggling for you to treat me with basic kindness, Veronica. He was right. I knew he was right, but I was also angry and hurt and I couldn't stop myself from what came next. I saw the receipt, I said, before our anniversary, the Tiffany's receipt in your jacket. His eyes widened. You went through my pockets. I was looking for gum. I wasn't snooping, but I saw it. $1,500, 3 days before our anniversary. And then you showed up with a $7 candle and I thought. You thought what? I don't know, that you were saving the real gift, that you were going to propose, something, and when you didn't I couldn't understand where the money went. It made me crazy, Marcus. For months I couldn't figure it out. He was staring at me like I was a stranger. So this whole time you've been angry because you thought I bought you something expensive and then didn't give it to you? No, yes, sort of. Saw Emma wearing the necklace, the Tiffany's necklace, in your Instagram photos. The color drained from his face. You've been stalking my Instagram. I needed to know, I needed to understand what happened. What happened is you rejected a gift because it wasn't expensive enough and I realized you didn't actually love me. You loved the version of me that performed for you. That's not true. Isn't it? Tell me, Veronica. When we were together, did you ever love me on the days when I was just me, not planning some elaborate date or surprise, just regular, boring, watching TV on the couch me? I opened my mouth to say of course, but the words stuck, because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure I ever let myself just enjoy his presence without measuring it against what he'd done for me lately. The necklace wasn't for Emma, Marcus said quietly. I mean, I gave it to Emma eventually, but that's not what I bought it for. Then who? My mom. I bought it for my mom. The doctors told me in January that she might not make it to her next birthday. She kept saying she wished she had something special, something she could pass down, something that would last longer than she would. So I saved. I took on freelance work, picked up extra projects, ate ramen for weeks. I bought her that necklace because I wanted her to have something beautiful in the middle of all the hospital rooms and chemo and pain. I couldn't breathe. Marcus. But after she wore it a few times, she said it made her too sad. It felt like a funeral gift, she said. She told me to give it to someone I loved, someone who would wear it and think of her and keep her memory alive after she was gone. So you gave it to Emma. Eventually, months later, after Mom went into remission and I'd started dadding again. But I didn't buy it for Emma, Veronica. I bought it for my dying mother, using money I didn't have while trying to keep our relationship afloat with whatever energy I had left. And when I couldn't afford to do our anniversary the way I knew you expected, I still tried. I still got you something, and you threw it back in my face. I was crying, right there in the bookstore, tears streaming down my face, unable to stop. I'm sorry, I whispered. Marcus, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. If I'd known. If you'd known, you might have been nicer about it, but you still would have measured my love in dollars, Veronica. That's who you are, and I can't be with someone who needs me to prove my feelings with a receipt. I've been in therapy, I said desperately. I've been working on it. I understand now why I was like that and I'm trying to change. That's good, I'm glad, but it doesn't change what happened between us. He started to walk away. I grabbed his arm. Please, can we just talk? Can we try to? He gently removed my hand from his arm. I spent a year trying to be enough for you. I can't do it again. I hope therapy helps. I really do, but I need you to let me go. And then he was gone, again. For what I knew this time was really forever. I stood in that bookstore for 20 minutes crying until an employee asked if I was okay. The thing nobody tells you about rock bottom is that there's always another level below it. Just when you think you can't feel worse about yourself, you discover a new depth of shame and regret. I went home and looked at my Instagram. All those posts about thriving and living my best life. Comments from friends saying, you go girl, and he didn't deserve you anyway. Every single one felt like a lie I'd told and everyone had believed. I deleted my fake account. Then I deleted my real account. What was the point? Performing happiness for an audience that didn't know me. Pretending I was fine when I was falling apart. Without social media to distract me, I had to sit with myself, with what I'd done, with who I'd become. Dr. Chen asked me in our next session what I'd learned from seeing Marcus. That I destroyed something real because I was too damaged to recognize it, I said. What else? That he deserves better than me. That Emma probably never makes him feel like he has to earn her love. You're doing it again, Dr. Chen said. Doing what? You're measuring Emma against yourself, measuring your worth against what you assume she provides. You're still thinking in transactional terms. She was right. Even in my guilt and self-hatred, I was still playing the same game. Still comparing, measuring, weighing value. How do I stop? I asked. You start by forgiving yourself for being human, for being shaped by trauma you didn't ask for. You can acknowledge that you hurt Marcus without making yourself the villain of the story. You were both people in pain, trying your best with broken tools. But I didn't want to forgive myself. Forgiveness felt like letting myself off the hook, and I deserved the hook. I deserved to feel terrible. Over the next few months, I focused on the work, real work, not just covering up pain. I joined a support group for adult children of divorce. I started journaling about my relationship patterns. I went on exactly 0 dates because I wasn't ready to inflict myself on another person until I'd figured out my shit. I thought about Marcus every day. About the candle I'd rejected. About the love I'd taken for granted. About all the ways he'd shown me he cared that I'd ignored because they didn't fit my narrow definition of proof. One day, about a year after our bookstore encounter, I was cleaning out my closet and found the leather portfolio I'd bought him for our anniversary. I'd never returned it. It had been sitting in my closet for almost 2 years, still in its box. I opened it and reread the letter I'd written him. All the things I'd loved about him poured onto paper. It was a good letter, thoughtful, specific, full of genuine affection. So why hadn't that been enough? Why did I need him to match my financial investment? Why couldn't the asymmetry have been okay? I think I finally understood. It wasn't about the money. It was about control. If I could measure love, I could track it. If I could track it, I could see it slipping away before it destroyed me. If I could see it slipping away, I could protect myself. Except all my protecting had done was drive away the thing I was trying to keep. The cruel irony is that Marcus was right. I didn't reject the candle because it was cheap. I rejected it because some part of me had already decided our relationship was failing, had seen that Tiffany's receipt and constructed a whole narrative about betrayal and insufficient love. The candle was just the excuse I needed to blow everything up before he could leave me first. Just when I thought I'd processed all this, made my peace with it, I got a LinkedIn message. From Marcus. My hands shook as I opened it. Hi Veronica, I hope you're well. I wanted to let you know that my mother passed away last month. The service was small, just family. I'm not sure why I'm telling you this, except that you were part of my life during the hardest part of hers, and it feels strange not to mention it. I also wanted to say that I've done some thinking about our relationship and our breakup. I was angry for a long time, but I'm not anymore. We were both doing our best in an impossible situation. I hope you found some peace. Take care, Marcus. I read it 50 times, trying to decode every word. Was this closure, an olive branch, just information? I drafted and deleted a dozen responses. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you for reaching out. I think about you every day. I would give anything to go back and do it differently. In the end, I wrote, I'm so sorry about your mom. She raised an incredible son. Thank you for letting me know and for your kind words about our relationship. I hope you found peace too. Short, respectful. Not trying to restart anything or absolve myself or make it about my feelings. He never responded. I didn't expect him to. That was 4 months ago. I'm 30 now, single, still in therapy, still working on being a person who can love without measuring, who can feel secure without proof, who can trust without testing. I think about that candle sometimes. $7, vanilla scented. Probably would have burned for 20 hours, give or take. I wonder what would have happened if I'd said thank you. If I'd lit it that night and let the smell fill my apartment. If I'd focused on the fact that he remembered I liked candles instead of fixating on how much it cost. Would we still be together? Would his mother have met me as his girlfriend one last time before she died? Would I have been there for him through her final months, holding his hand through the grief instead of being another source of pain? I'll never know. Everyone online still thinks I'm the shallow ex who dumped a guy over a cheap gift. They're not entirely wrong, but they're not entirely right either. The truth is, I rejected his anniversary gift because I was terrified. Terrified that if I accepted love that looked different than what I thought it should look like, I'd be settling. Terrified that if I didn't demand more, I'd end up like my mother, left behind for someone better. Terrified that I wasn't worth a $7 candle or a $1,500 necklace, and that if I looked too closely at what he was actually offering, I'd see that truth reflected back at me. So I rejected him first, called his gift cheap, sent him away, and I've been living with that choice ever since. The worst part isn't that he took the gift back. The worst part isn't even that I haven't seen him since. The worst part is that I finally understand what he was trying to give me, and it was never about the candle at all. It was about showing up, about trying, about loving me on a day when he had nothing left to give but $7 and the fact of his presence. And I threw it away. I'm telling this story now because I need someone to understand that people aren't always what they look like from the outside. The materialistic girlfriend who rejected a cheap gift was also a traumatized daughter who learned all the wrong lessons about love. The guy who gave a $7 candle was also a devoted son spending every penny to save his dying mother. We were both more than the worst thing we did to each other, but knowing that doesn't change the ending. He's still gone. I'm still here. And somewhere in a landfill, there's probably a vanilla-scented candle that never got to burn. That's the real story. Not the one where I'm the villain or the victim, but the one where I'm just a person who made a terrible choice for complicated reasons and has to live with it forever. If you think I'm terrible, I understand. Most days, I think I'm terrible too. But some days, usually in therapy, I can see it differently. I can see two people who loved each other but were drowning in their own separate oceans, reaching out with whatever they had, and it just wasn't enough to save either of them. I don't know if that makes it better or worse. I just know it's true. And I know that if I ever love someone again, I'll light every cheap candle they give me and be grateful for the light.